Hugless Douglas. One spring morning, a big yawn come from the back of the deep, dark cave. It was a young brown bear, and his name was Douglas. Look at that big yawn. There's an apple. He must have had that last night before he went to bed. I need a hug, said Douglas. Click. That's the cord for his light. So he wriggled out of his pyjamas, brushed his hair, put on a scarf, and went to look for one. A cuddle, that is. My best hugs are big, thought Douglas. So he went up to the biggest thing he could find, wrapped his arms all the way around and gave it a squeeze. It didn't feel quite right. "Oh," grunted Douglas, "it's a bit too heavy. Oh." He's tried to pick it up, and it's flattened him. He's fallen over. I hope he's okay. My best hugs are tall, thought Douglas. So he went up to the tallest thing he could find. He hugged the bottom, he hugged around the middle, and he hugged as high as he could reach. But it was all wrong, and it had splinters. Ouch! My best hugs are comfy, thought Douglas, and he trotted towards a cosy looking bush. He cuddled the bush, but something felt very odd. The leaves quivered and trembled. Wait a minute. Is that a pair of eyes? Is that a pair of eyes? The bush, it ran away. Look at all these eyes now. And look at all of these feet. Give us a hug, cried Douglas. No, barred the sheep. We're too busy. He scooped up armfuls anyway and tried to cuddle them gently, but they kicked and squirmed and didn't like it at all. Look at all these sheep. They were hiding in those leaves. Poor Douglas. Why can't I find a hug, he said. If I want a hug, said a wise owl, I sit in my tree and... Let me try, whooped Douglas, and he scrambled up next to the owl, but he soon found himself in a clumsy muddle. Twit, said the owl crossly. Oh dear. Douglas seems to have sat on a sheep there, and he's stuck to his bum. That's funny, isn't it? And look at this poor owl after he's fallen down. He's not very happy at all. I only wanted a hug, sniffed Douglas. Perhaps there's one down here. He felt something long-eared and rabbity and gave it a tug. Douglas could tell the rabbit didn't want a hug. He sniffed again and, without thinking, wiped his nose on the fluffy end. Excuse me, shouted the rabbit. Put me down. Look, Douglas, he wiped his nose on the rabbit's bum. Silly Douglas. But I need a hug, said Douglas, and I can't find one anywhere. Oh, I see, said the rabbit kindly. Come with me. He took Douglas by the paw and led him round and about. At last they came to a deep, dark cave where a sleepy someone was just waking up. Yawn! Look, there's the rabbit, and there's the sheep, and there's that owl. He's got lots of plasters on him. Douglas peeped inside. He had the funniest feeling that he knew the someone very well. "Hug?" asked Douglas, and ran as fast as he could towards his mum. That's a nice big hug, isn't it? Why don't you give your mum a big hug as well? "Come to think of it, my best hugs are from someone I love," said Douglas, and he snuggled into the biggest, warmest arms he knew. Oh, look. The sheep, rabbit and owl, they're all having a little hug with each other. Isn't that sweet? We've got different types of hugs here. Let's see if we can find out which ones we like best. So we've got the sandwich hug, which needs 3 people. The good night hug. The upside down hug. The don't let go hug. The falling hug. That one sounds a bit dangerous. The shy hug. The group hug. The back to front hug. That one looks very funny. The solo hug. The tummy hug. The daisy chain hug. That looks interesting. The big hug, my favourite. Come and get me hug. And the unrequited hug. Not too sure what that means. You may have to ask your parents. The end.